The referee's hand slammed against the canvas for the third time, and the crowd at Madison Square Garden erupted into chaos. Blood dripped from Muhammad Ali's split lip onto the white canvas as he stared at the ceiling lights, his chest heaving. 23 years old, undefeated heavyweight champion of the world, and he had just been knocked down by a nobody from Philadelphia named Jimmy the Hammer Rodriguez. "Get up, champ!" Angelo Dundee screamed from the corner, his voice barely audible over the roar of 15,000 people who couldn't believe what they were seeing. Ali rolled to his side, tasting copper and humiliation. The count had reached 8 when he pulled himself up using the ropes, his legs wobbling like a newborn colt. Rodriguez bounced on his toes in the neutral corner, a cocky grin spreading across his scarred face. This was supposed to be a tune-up fight, an easy payday before Ali's next big bout with Frazier. The kid from North Philly had other plans. "You all right, Muhammad?" the referee asked, studying Ali's eyes for signs of concussion. Ali nodded, though his vision still swam slightly. The bell rang, ending round 7, and Dundee practically carried him to the corner. "What the hell happened out there?" Dundee demanded, pressing an ice pack against Ali's swollen jaw. "This kid's got one lucky punch, and you're fighting like you forgot everything we taught you." Ali spat blood into the bucket. "He caught me clean, Angelo. Been a while since someone tagged me like that." He looked across the ring at Rodriguez, who was receiving instructions from his trainer, an old Cuban man named Santos, who had been working fighters in Philly gyms for 30 years. "Listen to me." Dundee grabbed Ali's face, forcing eye contact. "You got 3 rounds to figure this out. This kid beats you tonight, your career changes forever. No more easy fights, no more big paydays. Every hungry fighter in the world's gonna want a piece of you." The warning bell sounded. Ali stood, his legs steadier now, and walked to the center of the ring. Rodriguez met him there, and for the first time all night, Ali saw something different in the young fighter's eyes. Not just hunger or desperation, but the quiet confidence of someone who had found his moment. "You hit harder than I expected," Ali admitted as they touched gloves. Rodriguez smiled. "My grandmother always said I had heavy hands. She also said I'd fight the greatest someday." He paused, studying Ali's face. "Guess today's that day." The bell rang for round 8, and both fighters moved toward each other with renewed purpose. Ali had built his reputation on speed and footwork, dancing around opponents until they exhausted themselves chasing shadows. But Rodriguez wasn't chasing. He was cutting off the ring, herding Ali toward the corners with the patience of a seasoned veteran. Ali threw a quick jab, but Rodriguez slipped it and countered with a short right hand that caught Ali on the temple. The crowd gasped as Ali stumbled backward. Rodriguez pressed forward, sensing weakness, and unleashed a combination that would have dropped most heavyweights. Ali covered up, absorbing the punishment on his gloves and forearms. "Move, Muhammad!" Dundee shouted. "Get out of there!" But Ali didn't move. Instead, he did something that surprised everyone in the arena, including himself. He planted his feet and started trading punches with Rodriguez in the center of the ring. For 30 seconds, 2 fighters stood toe-to-toe, throwing leather with bad intentions. The crowd was on its feet, witnessing something they had never seen from the usually elusive champion. Rodriguez landed a clean left hook that snapped Ali's head back, but Ali responded immediately with an uppercut that lifted Rodriguez off his feet. Both fighters staggered, both hurt, both refusing to give ground. "This is insane." Howard Cosell's voice crackled through television sets across America. "Ali is abandoning everything that made him champion. He's fighting Rodriguez's fight now." The round ended with both fighters exhausted, leaning against each other in an accidental clinch. As they separated, Rodriguez whispered something that only Ali could hear. "You're not the same fighter who beat Liston. Something's eating at you from the inside." Ali returned to his corner, his face a mask of confusion and frustration. Dundee worked frantically to stop the bleeding from a cut above Ali's left eye. "What are you doing out there?" Dundee demanded. "You're fighting like a street brawler, not a champion." Maybe that's what I need to be tonight," Ali replied, staring across the ring at Rodriguez, who was receiving similar treatment from Santos. In the opposite corner, Santos was having a different conversation with his fighter. "You hurt him, mijo. I can see it in his eyes. But don't get careless. Wounded animals are the most dangerous." Rodriguez nodded, but his attention was focused on something else. During their exchange in round 8, he had noticed something about Ali's movement, a slight hesitation before throwing his right hand. It was subtle, almost imperceptible. But Rodriguez had grown up in gyms where reading an opponent's tells meant the difference between eating dinner and going hungry. "Santos," Rodriguez said quietly, his right shoulder. "Watch how he drops it before he throws." The old trainer's eyes narrowed as he studied Ali across the ring. After a moment, he nodded. "See, I see it. Old injury, maybe. Or just fatigue." "I can time it," Rodriguez said with growing confidence. The bell rang for round 9, and both fighters met in the center with grim determination. Ali tried to establish his jab, but Rodriguez was ready. Every time Ali's right shoulder dipped, Rodriguez stepped to his left and countered. It was a chess match played at violent speed. Halfway through the round, Ali threw a lazy jab, and Rodriguez saw his opening. As Ali's shoulder dropped for the follow-up right hand, Rodriguez stepped inside and threw a perfect left hook. The punch caught Ali flush on the chin, and for the second time that night, the heavyweight champion of the world hit the canvas. This time, Ali didn't get up immediately. He sat on the canvas, his back against the bottom rope, staring at Rodriguez with something approaching respect. The count reached 5 before Ali began to rise, using the ropes to pull himself up. 6, 7, the referee continued counting. Ali stood at 8, his legs more solid than before. The knockdown had cleared his head, and for the first time all night he felt like himself again. He nodded to the referee that he was ready to continue. Rodriguez came forward, looking for the finish, but Ali was ready now. He moved laterally, using his footwork to create angles, making Rodriguez miss with wild swings. As the round wound down, Ali caught Rodriguez with a clean right hand that sent the challenger stumbling into the ropes. The bell saved Rodriguez, but the momentum had shifted. As both fighters returned to their corners, the crowd was buzzing with anticipation. They had witnessed something special, a fight that would be talked about for decades. In Ali's corner, Dundee was surprisingly calm. "Now you're fighting smart again. One more round, Muhammad. Give me one more round like that and you keep your title." Across the ring, Santos was having a more urgent conversation with Rodriguez. "He's figured you out, mijo. That last punch he hit you with, you didn't see it coming. He's adjusting." Rodriguez touched his swollen jaw gingerly. "I can still catch him. That shoulder tell is still there." "Maybe," Santos said, applying Vaseline to a cut under Rodriguez's right eye. "But he knows you know now. Be careful." The final round began with both fighters showing the effects of 9 rounds of warfare. Ali's left eye was nearly swollen shut, and Rodriguez's face looked like he had been in a car accident. But neither man showed any intention of backing down. Ali established his jab early, keeping Rodriguez at distance, but Rodriguez was patient, waiting for his moment. With 2 minutes left in the round, Ali threw a combination that missed, and Rodriguez countered with a right hand that caught Ali on the temple. Ali staggered but didn't go down. Instead, he grabbed Rodriguez in a clinch, buying himself time to recover. As they wrestled in close, Ali whispered, "You're gonna be something special, kid, but not tonight." When the referee separated them, Ali unleashed a combination that showcased everything that had made him champion. A jab to set up the distance, a straight right hand that Rodriguez walked into, and a left hook that sent the challenger crashing to the canvas. Rodriguez tried to get up, but his legs wouldn't cooperate. The referee reached 10, and Madison Square Garden exploded as Ali retained his heavyweight title. But as Ali stood in the center of the ring, his hand raised in victory, he wasn't celebrating. He was staring down at Rodriguez, who was sitting on his stool in the corner, his head in his hands. Something about the young fighter's courage had affected Ali in a way he couldn't quite understand. After the post-fight interviews and medical examinations, Ali found himself in the hallway outside the dressing rooms. Rodriguez emerged from the challenger's room, his face cleaned up but still bearing the marks of battle. "Hell of a fight," Ali said, extending his hand. Rodriguez shook it firmly. "You're still the champion for a reason, but I'll be back." "I know you will," Ali replied. "And next time I might not be so lucky." As Rodriguez walked away with Santos, Ali realized something had changed inside him that night. For the first time since becoming champion, he had been truly tested by someone who had nothing to lose and everything to prove. The experience had reminded him why he fell in love with boxing in the first place. 3 weeks later, Ali was back in his training camp in Pennsylvania, preparing for his next fight. But his mind kept drifting back to that night at Madison Square Garden and the young fighter who had pushed him to his limits. "You've been distracted all week," Dundee observed as they worked the heavy bag. "That Rodriguez kid really got to you, didn't he?" Ali stopped punching and turned to his trainer. "He reminded me of something I'd forgotten, Angelo. Before all the fame and the money and the politics, I was just a kid from Louisville who loved to fight. Rodriguez still has that hunger." "And you don't?" Dundee asked. Ali considered the question carefully. "I'm starting to think I lost it somewhere along the way. All these easy fights, all these tune-ups. When's the last time I was really challenged?" "Rodriguez challenged you," Dundee pointed out. "Exactly," Ali said, a smile spreading across his face, and it felt good. It felt like boxing again. That afternoon, Ali made a phone call to his promoter. "I want to fight Rodriguez again," he said without preamble. "Mohammed, you just beat the kid 3 weeks ago. There's no money in a rematch right now." "I don't care about the money," Ali replied. "Set it up for 6 months from now. Give him time to get a few wins under his belt, build up some buzz. But I want that fight." 6 months later, Ali and Rodriguez met again, this time at the Houston Astrodome in front of 40,000 screaming fans. The rematch was everything the first fight had promised to be and more. Rodriguez had improved dramatically in the intervening months, working with Santos to refine his technique and strategy. But Ali had also evolved. The hunger that Rodriguez had awakened in him during their first encounter had transformed the champion. He trained harder than he had in years, approaching the rematch with the same intensity he had brought to his early title fights. The second fight went the full 15 rounds, with both men pushing each other to their absolute limits. Ali won a narrow decision, but both fighters left the ring knowing they had participated in something special. In the dressing room afterward, Rodriguez sat quietly as Santos cleaned his cuts. Despite losing again, he felt no disappointment. He had proven he belonged at the highest level of the sport. "You did good tonight, mijo," Santos said softly. "Ali is a great champion, but you made him earn it." Rodriguez nodded. "I can beat him next time. I know I can." "Maybe," Santos agreed. "But more importantly, you made him remember why he became champion in the first place. That's worth something too." Meanwhile, in the champion's dressing room, Ali was having a similar conversation with Dundee. "That kid is going to be heavyweight champion someday," Ali said with certainty. "Maybe," Dundee replied, "but tonight you showed everyone why you're still the best in the world." Ali smiled, but his thoughts were already turning to the future. Rodriguez had given him something invaluable, a reminder that boxing was about more than just winning and losing. It was about testing yourself against the best competition available and finding out what you were truly made of. The two fighters would meet one more time, 3 years later, in what many consider the greatest heavyweight trilogy in boxing history. But that night in Houston, as both men sat in their respective dressing rooms, they knew they had found something rare in professional sports, a rival who brought out the absolute best in each other. Ali would go on to defend his title 12 more times before losing it to Leon Spinks in 1978. Rodriguez would eventually win the heavyweight championship himself, holding it for 2 years before losing it back to Ali in their final encounter. But the real victory that night belonged to boxing itself. Two fighters had reminded the world why the sport mattered, why it captured the imagination of millions of people around the globe. In an era when boxing was becoming increasingly commercialized and predictable, Ali and Rodriguez had delivered something authentic and pure. As the crowd filed out of the Astrodome and the lights dimmed over the empty ring, the echoes of their battle lingered in the air. It had been a night when boxing lived up to its promise as the sweet science, a night when two warriors had elevated each other and the sport they loved. Years later, when both men had retired and their fighting days were behind them, they would often be asked about their trilogy of fights. Both would say the same thing, that they had been privileged to share the ring with someone who understood what it meant to be a true champion. The sport of boxing had been changed forever, not by any single moment or knockout punch, but by the simple act of two fighters refusing to accept anything less than excellence from themselves and each other. In a world where compromise and mediocrity were often rewarded, Ali and Rodriguez had chosen a different path. They had chosen to fight. If you made it this far and felt every word, you won't leave without subscribing, will you? I tell these stories with my heart in my hands to reach people like you who feel, who get emotional, who truly live. If this really touched you, give back, comment, subscribe, come be part of this family with me until the next video.